Okay, going to make a new InDesign document and we'll talk about grids and such. Um, I'm going to go ahead and pretend that I'm going to make an entire magazine. So the number of pages needs to be a multiple of 4, okay, because this will be a saddle stitch magazine, which means that the pages will be folded in half and stapled. So that means you have to have a multiple of 4. So I might do 32 pages because that would be an entire magazine with a 28-page interior and 4 pages for a cover. I'll go with letter size, 8.5 by 11. I'll go with vertical orientation. Margins, I want to play with those. Let's just say that I want 1.5 at the top, 1.5 on the outside, and I'll keep the inside and the bottom at 1/2. The gutter I'll keep the same. I do want that bleed of 0.125 all the way around. And the columns, I'm going to go with, let me go with 6. And you might think, wow, 6 columns, that's crazy. I mean, the columns are going to be too small. Well, actually not. You'll see that I'm going to have some options here. These are my margins. I've got 6 columns, but the way that grids work in graphic design is that the grid is really a skeleton. It's an invisible skeleton, and you can hang stuff on the skeleton in any number of ways. For instance, here, here's one option. I'll get a text tool. I can make 3 columns out of this. You'll notice I drag my box across these first 2 columns. Type, fill with placeholder text. Okay. Now I can copy this, Command C, and then paste it, Command V, to make a second column. And since it's already in the memory buffer, I don't have to copy it again. I can just do paste again, Command V, and get a third one. And there we go. So it could be a 3-column layout like this. All right. The skeleton is still 6. All right. Or it could be 2 columns that go across 3 of the grid columns like that. Okay, that's another option. I could even make it asymmetrical if I wanted to. I could make one column smaller than the other, one column wide, and this one I might make something like a sidebar. This could be my main text here. And by the way, if you don't ever get enough text and you want more, you can just put the cursor in here and then go back up to type, fill with placeholder text, and you'll get more of it. Okay, so I can have a main column and maybe a sidebar. Okay, now usually if I'm going to do something like this, I don't want these two to look exactly the same because it's going to be kind of confusing. So I need to set this column off a little bit. I need to make it look different. One of the ways is to give it a color. I can actually put a color on this box. I can click on the box, and the box itself can have a fill color. It's currently a fill of none. I could double click here and give it a fill, maybe that blue. All right, there it has a fill. And then I can even make the text have a color. Now to do this, I need to get the type tool and click inside to where I see the flashing cursor, and then I need to do Command A to select all the type inside. Then I'll be able to alter this color here of the text. I can double click on that T and I can give this a color, maybe something very light. Okay. Okay, now that sets this apart as more of a sidebar. And I can still do more. I can highlight this. I might make it an italic to set it apart more. Okay. Now here though, there is a problem. The text is too close to the edge of the box. Well, I can affect that. I can make the text inset from the edges of the box. If I have it selected, I can go to object, and let's see. Object, text frame options. Okay, so I can inset the spacing, and I can do like 0.125 would be 1/8 of an inch, and if I use that chain, it'll be the same distance all the way around. I can preview what it's going to look like, and there, I can say, hey, I like that. I could align the justification to the top. If there's not enough text to fill it, I could align it to the center or the bottom or justify. I could do all those kinds of things. Okay, but there, I'm going to go with that. And I could say, well, the font size, I want it to be different. Maybe make it bigger. Okay, so now stylistically they're different. So this looks like the main text, and this looks like some kind of a sidebar or something. Okay, so yet it's all based on this same grid of 6 columns. So having a 6-column grid does not mean, or any number grid does not mean that you follow that exact grid every time. It's just a skeleton where you can hang different arrangements on. Here's an example of how that works. For instance, these 2 pages, same skeleton, same grid, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, probably a 5-column grid. Here they put text in the outside 2, and they put graphics on the middle one. Here they put graphics on the first one, and then 2, and then 2, and then they had a column of text that went across 1, 2, 3. So there is a skeleton under here, and your readers are going to appreciate the organization that invisible skeleton gives to your layout. But it doesn't mean the layout has to be boring. You can put variety in here. You can change things around. Here's another example. Same thing. This is a same grid for each of these pages. Looks like a 4-column grid here, but this one's been done up like a sidebar with color. There's some text wraps here, and we'll show you how to do this in a couple of videos. Large photo versus some text, drop caps. So all kinds of things can be done to make that one standard grid have lots of variety. Here's another one. 2 pages, looks like what would be a 2-column grid. And here, the text goes across both those columns. Here, the photograph aligns with the left edge of the column, but it bleeds off. Here, this photo is contained within that column, but it bleeds off the edge. So yes, you can actually, at times, break the grid. As long as you have an element aligned to the grid in at least one point, then you can have that element go past it or not conform to it somewhere else. So these photos align to the grid at 1 or 2 points, and then they go past it. So the grid is not something that can't be fudged a little bit, as long as you coordinate with it in at least one point. You'll still have that harmony that you want from a grid layout, and that's how grids work.